All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are diving into a really unique and powerful innovation process. I mean, this thing is strict. Think of it as an innovation gauntlet. Our map, the thing that's going to guide us through it all, is a document called Policy G2P 001.
So, let's start with a big question. You know how we usually picture innovation? It's kind of messy, right? Chaotic, these big, free-flowing bursts of creativity. But what if the opposite is true? What if real, honest-to-goodness, valuable innovation actually comes from extreme discipline? That's the core idea we're going to unpack today. We're looking at a system where structure is actually designed to fuel creativity, not fight it.
And we're going to break this whole journey down into 5 key parts. We'll start with the starting gun, how it all kicks off. Then we'll get into the rules of engagement. After that, we'll see how a brief is actually put together, and then how it's graded with a final scorecard. And finally, we'll zoom out and see how this one single policy fits into a much bigger picture, a whole ecosystem.
Okay, so first things first. Every solid process needs a really clear starting point, right? No confusion. And for this policy, G2P 001, it's not some complicated form or a button you push. Nope, it's way more direct than that.
You'd think something this structured would have a really complex kickoff, you know? Like a detailed request or a multi-step approval chain. But here, this entire intricate machine gets turned on with a single key. And that key, it's just 3 little words.
That's it. Those are the 3 words, Daily Innovation Brief. The policy is super explicit about this. A user has to manually type these words to get the ball rolling. No shortcuts, no autofill. What's so wild is that this one simple action immediately locks you into a super strict set of rules, which, hey, brings us right to our next section.
So the moment you type that phrase, boom, you stepped into the gauntlet. And every gauntlet has its rules. I want you to think of Policy GTP 001 as a super precise blueprint, or maybe a recipe that you have to follow exactly to the letter. No substitutions.
And this is the whole point. The policy's entire purpose is to channel all that creative energy. It's built to generate very focused, very valuable ideas that directly improve what the company already has. And just as important, it's there to stop people from wasting time and energy on ideas that just don't fit the strategy.
And this lays out the constraints perfectly. These are the non-negotiables. You have to follow this policy, G2P 001, and you also have to follow a higher-level global policy, G2P 002. All your ideas must, and I mean must, build on the existing core assets listed in portfolio G2A 001. And you can only use approved raw materials from one source, G2S 001. Oh, and my favorite rule. This is great. You cannot innovate on the innovation policy itself. The framework is locked.
Okay, so you've kicked off the process. You know the rules of the road. But how do you actually build this daily innovation brief? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of how it's made. You know, for all its complexity, the policy boils the creation process down to 2 simple steps. Step 1, plan a topic. Step 2, create a report. Now, it sounds super straightforward, but trust me, the devil is in the details, and this policy is all about the details.
Step 1 is all about one thing: precision. The policy actually uses the term laser-focused. So you can't just pitch some big, broad, fuzzy idea. You have to pick a single content topic that improves a single core asset from that G2A01 portfolio. No wiggle room.
And then you get to step 2, writing the report itself. Here, your job is simple. Just elaborate on that one topic. That's it. Describe it, explain its benefits, tell us the value it adds. What you absolutely can't do is deviate. You can't start bringing in new topics or new ideas from outside that approved G2-001 source. That discipline has to carry all the way to the finish line.
Okay, so you've followed all the rules, you've built your brief. How do you know if you did a good job? Well, there's no guesswork here. Success isn't subjective, it's measured with cold, hard numbers.
Every single brief that gets submitted is graded and gets what's called a policy score. And this isn't about whether your idea is good or bad. It's about one thing. Was the brief created in perfect compliance with the policy? It's the ultimate test of whether you successfully ran the gauntlet.
Now, what I love about this is the perfect balance you see. The final score is split evenly between 4 different checks. Each one is worth exactly 25%. What that means is you can't slack off on any part of the policy. If you want that perfect score, you have to nail all 4 of these things.
And this table just breaks it down so clearly. You get 25% for creating exactly 1 report. Not 0, not 2,
1. You get another 25% if that report is laser-focused, just like we talked about. A third chunk of 25% is for making sure its foundation is correctly based on those core assets. And that last 25%? That comes from following both this policy and the global one. It's just a beautifully simple and really strict scorecard.
Now, it's pretty easy to look at G2P-0101 and just see this rigid standalone process, but it is so important to understand that it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Not at all. It's actually just one piece of a much larger, interconnected system.
And this is how all those pieces fit together. You've got our policy, GTP-001. It operates under the big umbrella of the global policy, GTP-002. Think of that as the company's constitution. The process can only use raw materials from the approved source, GTS-001, and everything it produces has to be aimed at improving the core assets in G2A-001. It's like a totally self-contained ecosystem for innovation. And this quote, right from the policy itself, just hammers the point home. It flat out says that following both this local policy and the global one is mandatory. This hierarchy makes sure that even these very specific innovation tasks are always perfectly aligned with the big picture company strategy.
Which brings us to the ultimate goal, the big takeaway. This entire process, the trigger phrase, the strict rules, the two-step creation, the scorecard, it is all designed to achieve one single thing, a perfect 100% policy score. That score is the signal. It means you've created a perfectly formed, fully compliant, and therefore truly valuable innovation brief.
So after all that, after walking through this incredibly disciplined system, we have to go back to where we started. Does forcing creativity through such a narrow, structured gauntlet actually produce better, more valuable ideas in the end? Or does it risk filtering out that next, wild, game-changing breakthrough? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.